Hello, fellow T-ravelers. Jason here. Today I'm going to talk about freeze plugs. Well, I was out here working on my Model T go-kart not too long ago, and I thought, I had been having some hose issues on my radiator, so while I'm out here working on this, it's snowed, I'm not going to drive it for a few days. I'm going to see if there's any leaks going on with my radiator hoses. So I went ahead and I popped my hood, I take a look, and I start seeing all sorts of coolant all around the engine. And I was thinking, oh no, what happened with my hoses? Because I was pretty sure I got them all buttoned up pretty well. And I took a flashlight, started looking around, noticing there was coolant every which way. And then I came around to this side and I looked and I saw the culprit. One of my freeze plugs, the one closest to the first cylinder, decided to spring a leak on me. I'm not sure why it waited until now to go ahead and fail, but it did. So I wasn't planning on a freeze plug video, but sometimes life gives you opportunities. So I thought, I gotta replace this freeze plug. I might as well film it and see where it goes. So briefly, what are freeze plugs? So a Model T and a lot of modern vehicles have these little holes that are occupied by what are colloquially called freeze plugs. The word freeze plug is actually a misnomer, particularly in the Model T instance, in that it's not intended. A lot of people think that they're intended to pop out if your coolant freezes. If you fill it up with just water and dips below freezing in the winter, water expands, pops those freeze plugs off, saves your engine. Well, that makes sense, but that's not what they're for. With the Model T, they're cast iron engines, and in the process of casting the engine block, Ford made a mold with sand. The sand fills the voids, creates some negative space where you don't want your iron to fill up. And in this instance, Ford had a negative space filled with sand where you would have water passages. There were 3 holes left to facilitate getting the sand out after casting was complete, and to help get sand in and to support the engine during the casting process. Sand cores is another word for them. So when all that sand was removed, you're left with this negative void that ends up becoming the coolant passages that fill up with coolant and keep the engine cool. But you have these 3 plugs left over, these 3 holes, and they would fill those holes up. They are not intended to pop out when they're not designed with the intention that they would pop out when coolant freezes. They're just holdovers from the casting process. So a lot of people use various things. Ford put little plugs in there to fill those holes. Today you would call them Welch plugs is the more appropriate term for them. Expansion plugs, expansion cores, freeze plugs is often what people know. But Welch plug is the more appropriate term. What a lot of people use when they end up rebuilding the engine, and what I'm going to use today, is something that's really special, something you don't see every day. I'm hoping it works. I've heard, I've never done this before myself, but I've heard that this is the way to go. So I'm going to show you today how I'm going to do this and what I'm going to use for these Welch plugs to replace the one that's leaking. Let's take a look. Please excuse the mess on my bench. I have kind of a lot going on, multiple projects here. So what I'm going to use to replace the Welch plugs on my Model T are these buffalo nickels, of all things. They were made in the 30s, or the 20s and 30s. They feature a buffalo on one side and the head of a Native American on the other side. They're made of a mix of copper and nickel, and they happen to be the perfect diameter for the holes on the Model T engine block. I also have the other tools I'm going to use right here. To start, I have a socket, and the socket is the same diameter as the nickel. What I'm going to do is take this extension. You can use anything. It's not a hard material. And I'm going to basically put this onto it. I'm going to hit it with this ball peen hammer and dish it out. Turn it into what you would normally see with a Welch plug, that convex shape. Once I get that hammered out, I have this tool right here that my friend JJ loaned me. This is a car dent puller, but should be perfect for what I need. If that existing plug that's leaking is still seated too good for me to get out, I'm going to drill a little hole in it, a little pilot hole just through it, and then I'm going to take this, screw this in there, and pull it out that way. And then to install it, once it's dished, I have another slightly smaller socket that will fit over it. I'm going to attach it to the extension and then smack it in with the ball peen hammer to mushroom it out. That's the basic process that I'm going to do today. So to start, let's go ahead, get this guy concave so that we can install it. I'm just going to take my tool and I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to go real slow. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to keep hitting it and I'm going to check it, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and do this now so that you don't have to hear all the banging. Okay. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but this has mushroomed out, or dished out quite well. I think this is going to install beautifully. The material wasn't hard at all. I just tapped it real gently, checked on it, kept tapping, dropped it a couple of times, picked it up, and so forth until I got this nice dome shape on the side here. And I'm going to put it in buffalo facing out because I think that's pretty cool. So I went ahead and made sure, or no, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and put it Native American side out on the one that's leaking. If I do the other two, I'll probably alternate. But I'm going to do the Native American head facing out because that's pretty cool. So I dished it in on the side of the buffalo. I'm only going to replace the one that's leaking for now, just to make sure this works. And I might go back later and do the others, but this will get us started for right now. So let's go over to the engine and see what's next. So before I drill it out and remove it, I just wanted to kind of show you what it looks like it's leaking, and it is absolutely a Jefferson nickel. And the Jefferson nickels should work just as good as the Buffalo nickels if you don't have them. I'm going to, just to make it a better conversation piece, I'm going to stick with the Buffalo nickels. I should point out, before I extract this, I'm going to go ahead and drain the coolant out of my radiator, because while that's weeping, the radiator and the engine block still are full of coolant, and I don't want a bigger mess to clean up. So I'm going to drain the coolant, and then I'm going to come back and drill a pilot hole in that and pull it out. Okay, I went ahead, drained all the coolant out of the engine. Now I'm going to go ahead, drill a pilot hole, and see if we can't get this retire Mr. Jefferson here. I'll go slow because I'm creating a lot of metal debris that I'm going to vacuum out here at the end. Okay, just want to go just through it. I don't want to go too deep. All right. Now I'm going to go put that fancy tool in there. All right, I got my buddy's little dent puller tool. And if you've got any other creative way to pull one of these out, you know, go ahead and do what you got to do. So this is actually going in pretty good. I'm going to wait until I know I have good purchase on it before I start pulling it out. And she's out. Fantastic. I went ahead and cleaned this up just a little bit, and it most absolutely is a Jefferson nickel. I can't quite see the date on it, but I'm gonna try to clean it up a little bit more, and because it's pretty rusted, and I'm gonna clean this up, and then if I can figure out what date it is, I'll let you guys know in the description down below. But that's a good conversation piece right there. Okay, so I want to show you guys what the hole looks like. It is extremely dirty in there. It is lipped at the end for a regular convex, concave style Welch plug. Not those ones you see at the auto parts store that kind of press in and don't dish out. I'm going to go ahead now and clean this hole out really good. And then we'll move to the next step. So what I went ahead and did was I sprayed the hole down with some brake cleaner. I took a toothbrush, got all the gunk out. I wiped it off pretty good, and then I took the shop vac, vacuumed up all the metal pieces and all the other miscellaneous crud, and I gave it a few minutes to dry. So since there's a lip in there where you would push the Welch plug against for it to kind of spread out and fill the hole, I'm going to put a little swab of ultra black right in that lip. And what that'll help do is, once I pound in the Buffalo nickel, it'll spread out to fill most of that gap. And then the Ultra Black from Permatex should keep any tiny holes that might be imperfections as a result of wear on both the engine block and the nickel from getting leaks through them. So I'm going to go ahead, smear some Ultra Black on that, just a little bit, and then come back and show you how I'm going to drive that nickel home. Okay, I ran just the tiniest little bit of Ultra Black around the lip where the Welch plug will seat. As I mentioned, that's to help it seal, help hold it in place, hopefully make it last another, I think this engine was rebuilt 35, 40 years ago, so hopefully make it at least last that long. Now I'm going to position the nickel into the hole, and then I'm going to take my my socket extender here with the socket and a ball peen hammer, and I'm going to push it in. And in this one I made sure that the socket was just a little bit smaller than the dished out nickel, and that will help me drive it home here. So let's see if I can do this in one shot while I'm filming here. Pardon any noise. Okay, try not get any stuff off of me. I'm going to move my light. Pardon me here while I move my light. This is an interesting bit, I guess. Let's try. You may not be able to see this very good, but I'm doing my level best here. Okay. I'll push the nickel up to the hole. There it is. Take my tool here, position that. Okay. Now I'm gonna send her home, hopefully. Oh, no. That's not in there. That's not in there yet. Not quite in there enough. Oh, it fell out. Okay. I'm going to keep fiddling with this off camera here and fill you in when I get it in. Okay, I got it in. What I ended up doing is dishing it out quite a bit more than I did. I didn't have it dished out enough to where it would fit in the hole. So after I did that, I'm sorry if it's not focusing. I'm trying to move the light so that it focuses a little bit better. Sorry. I went ahead and put fresh Permatex Ultra Black in there, cleaned up what had gotten displaced and mushed up. I went ahead and held it in there, and then I ended up using just the extension, just the square bit end without any socket on it to push it out. And it filled the hole. It seems to be in there good and tight. I'm hoping when the Permatex cures in 24 hours that won't be going anywhere anytime soon. So my next plan, and you can comment down below if you're curious as to how it goes. My plan is to let this sit now for 24 hours for the Permatex to cure. And then I'm going to put the coolant back in, fire up the engine, drive her around, and see how it goes. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this worked out. I will be sure to post follow-ups, maybe even do a follow-up video if this leaks. If this leaks and fails, I'm not sure if I'm going to try the nickel again or if I'm just going to go to the vendors and get a brass Welch plug. We'll have to see what happens and how that goes. But I am pretty excited. The nickel was the right size. If you dish it out, it fits just fine. And it being copper and nickel, it mushrooms out just fine also. So if this holds, then this is a good way to go. And I know it works for a lot of other folks. So yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. My videos aren't professional by any means, but they're as real and as authentic as I can make them. I'm testing out a new setup today for this first video. This is the first video of my new setup. I'm wearing a Lark M2 wireless mic, and I'm shooting on my brand new Insta360 Ace Pro 2 action camera. I intend to use it to film drives this coming field season and probably the next couple of field seasons, driving seasons, excuse me, field season. That's a holdover from my professional life. Driving seasons, and I intend to film some seminars and other tutorials using this same setup. So I'm hopeful that it does a good job, and if you like it, please comment. Let me know what you think, and like and subscribe. I sure appreciate it. Until next time, my name's Jason, and get out there and drive your car.